When you think about it, building a modern skyscraper is just monumental. But what happens if the people who are actually building it, the architects, the engineers, the construction teams, what if they were never really taught how to work together? Well, today we're going to dive into a project that's tackling that exact problem, and it's completely rethinking how we train the builders of tomorrow.
I mean, it seems like a simple question, doesn't it? But just think for a second about the incredible level of coordination it takes. You've got the grand vision, the hard physics, the complex logistics, and all of it has to mesh together absolutely perfectly.
Exactly. You need all those brilliant specialists. But here's the catch, the big problem that's been hiding in plain sight. Traditionally, all of these experts are trained separately, in their own little worlds. And that's precisely the problem this project decided to solve head on. So let's really break down this core challenge. In the industry, they call it disciplinary silos. And believe me, it is a huge roadblock to innovation and efficiency. This right here is the root cause of so many real-world headaches. Just imagine an architect designing this beautiful, complex building facade, but without fully getting the engineering constraints. That's the kind of friction and waste that happens when these teams just don't speak the same language right from day one of their training. Okay, so how do we actually fix this? Well, an incredibly ambitious international project set out to create a whole new blueprint for construction education. The idea at its heart was actually pretty simple, but incredibly powerful. Let's use cutting-edge digital and immersive tools to get architecture, engineering, and construction students all working together, collaborating, right from the very beginning of their education. And this is the really clever part. It wasn't just about using fancy tech for the sake of it. No, they used digital environments like BIM, which is basically a super detailed 3D digital model of the building, as a pedagogical instrument. In other words, a teaching tool to simulate real-world challenges. This forced students to build those crucial skills like teamwork and what's called systems thinking, which is just the ability to see the entire project as a whole, not just your one little piece of the puzzle. So what did all this look like in action? Well, the project took a very hands-on, very international approach to bring these ideas to life. It all started in the classroom. You had workshops bringing together students and staff from totally different countries and different specialisms. This is where they explored the core concepts and, more importantly, started to build a shared language and understanding around these new digital tools. Then, they took all that theory and brought it into the real world. I mean, on-site visits, just like this one in the UK, allowed students to see modern construction with their own eyes, finally bridging that huge gap between what you learn in a lecture hall and what happens on an actual job site. And this really was a global classroom. We're talking international workshops in Malaysia, Vietnam, and Indonesia. The project used hybrid and online formats to make sure everyone could participate, bringing in everyone from first-year students to seasoned academics. And, the work didn't just stay locked up within the project. A huge part of the process was sharing what they learned. By presenting at major international conferences, the project's big ideas and research findings could reach a much, much wider audience of academics and professionals. So the big question is, did it actually work? Let's take a look at the results and maybe hear directly from some of the people who were actually a part of it. This quote from a student participant really says it all, doesn't it? It just highlights that the project's true value wasn't only in the cool technology, but in gaining that absolutely crucial international perspective by working with peers from different backgrounds and cultures. When you step back and look at the big picture, the achievements were seriously impressive. The project didn't just break down those silos we talked about, it drove real innovation in teaching methods and built international academic networks that will last. It's a really powerful summary of the impact. And here's the view from an academic, which reinforces that key theme we keep coming back to. The project's success came from its really thoughtful focus on how to teach, not just what cool tools to use. The technology was there to serve the learning, not the other way around. But this was never meant to be just a one-off project. It was designed from the ground up to create a lasting legacy. So, what was that long-term impact? And what are the key lessons we can all learn from it? One of the core strengths here was the focus on mutual benefit. This was a true two-way street, a real knowledge exchange. So the UK got to advance its teaching innovation by testing ideas on an international stage, while its partners in China and other countries got invaluable exposure to new approaches, which then helped inform their own curriculum reform. Everybody won.
So, what are the big takeaways from all this? Well, 4 key lessons really stand out. First, these tools need to be part of the actual teaching, not just some flashy demo. Second, for these changes to stick, the teachers have to feel a sense of ownership. Third, you've got to adapt your approach to the local culture. One size definitely does not fit all. And finally, if you want long-term success, you have to invest in that next generation of researchers and staff.
Of course, a project this ambitious doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It was built on a foundation of really strong partnerships and some incredible support. And that crucial support came from the British Council. Their UK-China BRI Countries Education Partnership Initiative program provided the framework and really the funding to make this whole thing possible. Which really leaves us with one final thought to chew on. We know, for a fact, that building the cities of our future is going to demand unprecedented levels of collaboration. So, if that's the key to our future, shouldn't collaboration also be the very foundation of how we learn?